We're starting Daf Nun in the Perek. Makom shenagol asis malacha bar Pesachim ad chatzos Eisen. So any place, any place that the custom is to do malacha on Erev Pesach, we're talking about only until. Oh yeah, I feel so bad. I should farther away. But that's the reason why I didn't go. So any place where they do malacha on Erev Pesach before chatzos, so you're allowed to do malacha until chatzos. After chatzos is a problem. The problem is that you're bringing a korban Pesach and you're not supposed to do malacha. But until chatzos, we're not talking about from shkia before. We're talking about from the morning until chatzos. So it's dependent on the custom. So makom shenagu shlei lasis, but if the custom is not to do malacha in the morning, then ein eisen, then you don't do malacha. Let's say someone travels from in his city, he does malacha. And he goes to a place where they don't do malacha. We're talking about the morning of Pesach. The opposite. Goes from a place where you don't do malacha to a place where they do. You end up with the chumras. Of both places. They impose on you both chumras, the place where you came from and also the place that you went to. Yeah, it's interesting. Rabbi Horowitz, that writes the Shavach Hamayim, Shavach Yikar, he comes to the shop. So he said he asked Reb Zalman Shimon, what was the minhag in Lubavitch? Did they do malacha on Erev Pesach? Zalman Shimon was in Lubavitch. So he said, you don't understand. Lubavitch didn't have its own custom. Everyone came to Lubavitch from all other places. There was no way of judging what the custom was. Okay. You know where this is relevant for us? If this year Erev Pesach is on Shabbos. But let's say Pesach is Shabbos, and Erev Pesach is Erev Shabbos. So then by Ma'ariv, the week before, you don't say V'hinayam and Vat Kaddish if there's a day of the week that you don't do work. So is Erev Pesach considered a day that you don't do work? Depends on the minhag makom. Depends. That's okay. Also has to do with it. We don't do work. Like, for example, it says not to take a haircut or to cut your nails. Erev Pesach after chatzos. I don't think it says that by other Yom. But because over there after chatzos there's a real issue of not to do malacha, and by other Yom there's less of an issue. The question over here is before chatzos. What we're learning is that you end up with the stringencies of the place that you came from, or the place that you're going to. And now we turn the page. While you sound out the person shouldn't do anything different because that causes machlekes. Similarly, the rule is like this: that you're allowed to eat the fruits of the Shemitah year as long as there still is growth in the field. And if it's still growing in the field, that means the animals in the field still have the fruits, then you're allowed to eat the fruits that are inside. Once it's finished in the field, then any storage that you had is not allowed. You have to take it out back to the fields. In other words, you and the animals and everything needs to have equal access to it. You can't store it as if you're the owner. But you can take it inside if it's still growing in the field. But once it stops, once there's nothing left in the field, then it's not yours anymore. You have to bring it back outside. So let's say in your area, there's nothing in the field, but you go to a place where there is still in the field, so you should be allowed to eat it. It says no, because in your place, it was us, or you get the chumras of both places. Chayiv levar, you have to levar means you have to bring it out to the field for the to share it equally with the animals. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Say v'havi lach after." You also bring. You'll see in the Gemara what that's going to mean. Rabbi Joan, I didn't come to the show because there's COVID in the yeshiva, so I don't want to bring it back and forth. Okay, so until that resolves, I'll teach you in the house. So we should figure it out. Okay.
Rabbi Smith, the sound, unfortunately, I have to tell you that the sound is muffled. So I know that that would be bad.
Is that Reb Naftali? Is it unclear for you also?
It became unclear.
Oh, so 1 second. Let's see what happens. Let me adjust the sound. I'll open up my things if I need. Is it still unclear? Is it any better? It's the same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Okay, so give me 1 second. Let me see if it's better with my things.
Do you still have the headphones?
Yeah, I have this. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Do you hear me now?
That's better.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we'll explain in the Gemara what Rabbi Yehuda means. Rabbi Yehuda mitzvah v'havila chafata. Okay, the Gemara starts like this. My area, Arbi Pesachim. What are we telling me that there's a custom not to do work on Erev Pesach? And then that's before Chatzais. Now the Gemara's question is a diuk. But after Chatzais, it's a din. That's a din in Erev Pesach. Afilu Arbi Shabbos is Arbi Yom Tov Nami. They're also not allowed to do malacha on Erev Shabbos and other Erev Yom Tov. The Tanya it's taught in a brayso. Is malacha b'Arbi Shabbos v'Yom Tov min mincha l'mayla in reisim bracha l'olam. Someone does work on Erev Shabbos from the mincha on. This is talking about from 9.5 hours into the day. He doesn't see any blessing. The Gemara answer is very simple. Hasam min mincha l'mayla. Over there, it has to do with min mincha l'mayla. Who does it? Samach l'mincha l'ay. But before the 9.5 hours, it's fine. But over here, it's from noontime. Okay, that's the diuk. The diuk is the Mishnah said makom shenagalas malacha bar b'sachim ad chatzais. Afterwards, for sure, it's aser. Though, so on Erev Pesach after chatzais, it's aser. In other holidays, it's only min mincha l'mayla it's aser to do malacha. So here it says. Doesn't Mamash say it's us, it says in Reisim Bracha, which is understood to mean that you're not supposed to. Yeah. They joked about someone that he didn't do malach on Cholamayid because it says he didn't go to work on Cholamayid because it says work on Cholamayid, Ein Reisim Bracha, but he went to work on Shabbos. So, it doesn't say in Reisim Bracha. Just says that it's forbidden. Okay.
What's another way of saying Simon Bracha?
I'm sorry?
What's another way of saying Simon Bracha?
My understanding of Simon Bracha is that although you earn money, but there's no blessing that comes from that money. It gets spent on things that were not that you didn't need to spend it on. So in other words, it looks like I'm making profit, but Ein Raya Simon Bracha, that's not a blessing money. That was my understanding of it. But I don't know. You don't see a sign of blessing from that. Okay. Inami. Hasam Simon Bracha Dleichazi. Abel Shemuti Lemishamtinalei. Over there, you don't see a Simon Bracha, but Shemuti is like a Cherem.
but you don't put them in cherem for violating a prohibition. Here it's a clear prohibition. Here you see that distinction. Okay, Gufa, it was taught. Someone does malacha, does work on Erev Shabbos or Erev Yom Tov from the afternoon, which means from 9.5 hours into the day. So Uba Mitzvah Shabbos, or he does malacha on Mitzvah Shabbos. What does it mean on Mitzvah Shabbos? You're allowed to do malacha. Taisus says that it's before you daven Ma'ariv. Uba Mitzvah Yom Tov, Mitzvah Yom Kippurim, B'chol Makom Sheishem Nidna Avera. There's a drop of Avera. Lasi Tainus Tzibur. This includes the Tainus Tzibur, which was in Eretz Yisrael when they made imposed fasts because there was no rain. So Ein Rayasim and Bracha Lo'olam. You don't see blessing from that. Yeah. How did Rashi learn this? Someone learned that it had to do with Tosefes. Rashi learns that it has to do with Tosefes Shabbos. You're supposed to always add a little bit, a few minutes. So you're doing malacha on that during that time. That's Tosefes Shabbos. Tosefes said, like we said, that we're talking about the Yidin Tav Ma'ariv yet. Okay. What type of malacha are we dealing with? It's a big question. We're dealing with the Lamites malachas? Are we dealing with what type of work exactly? Yeah, it's not. It's very vague. It's very unclear what type of work we're talking about. What goes under the category of work? Nowadays, it's confusing because always you would say, well, laundry is the big work. But today, laundry is you push a button. So I don't know if that's... Yeah, they joke about the wives. They don't do malacha or shchaydash. They don't do the laundry. So they get the husband to come over and to push the button. You know, they scrubbed it and everything. Okay. Tana Rabbanan was taught in a brayso, yesh zaros v'niskar. There's some people that are, zaros is the opposite of lazy. They're, what's a good word for that? Energetic. They're energetic and they prosper. Yesh zaros v'nifsad. But there are those that are energetic but they lose out. Yesh shuffle, there's the lazy v'niskar, but they also prosper. Yesh shuffle, they're the lazy v'nifsad, but they lose out. Zaros v'niskar, what's someone that's energetic and he also prospers? David Kula Shabbata. He works the whole week. V'lo yavid b'mali Shabbata, but he doesn't work on Erev Shabbos. So he's energetic and he gets the bracha. He doesn't work on Erev Shabbos. Zaros v'nifsad, who's someone that loses out, is the Avid Kuli Shabbat of Avid Mali Shabbat. He works the whole week and he also works on Erev Shabbos. So then he loses out from the bracha. It must be Erev Shabbos after Mincha, right? Shuffle v'niskar, someone that's lazy and he benefits, he prospers. Le'avid Kula Shabbat of Le'avid Mali Shabbat. He doesn't work the whole week. He doesn't work on Erev Shabbos. So he's lazy, but he gets the blessing because he doesn't work on Erev Shabbos. It's like they said a non-religious Jew is really a chassid because he doesn't say Tachman on Yitas Kislev. So so here he doesn't work the whole week, but he doesn't work on Erev Shabbos either. Okay, shuffle v'nifsad, someone that's lazy and he loses out. Le'avid kula Shabbat of Avid Mali Shabbat. One day of the week that he works, it's the wrong time. He works on Erev Shabbos. So he's lazy the whole week and he loses out. Amar Rava. Rava says, Hani Nashi de Mechuzah, the women of Mechuzah, Rava lived in Mechuzah. They were wealthy in Mechuzah. Rava always comments about the character of the people in Mechuzah. He says, the women of Mechuzah, Afagav Dle'avidan Avidata Mali Shabbata, Mishum Mafnekusa. Even though they don't do work on Erev Shabbos because they're pampered, so Mishum Mafnekusahu, The kol yom enami lekavdan, they don't do work the whole week either. It's nothing to do with their super religious. Nevertheless, they're still considered lazy, and they prosper. They earn the reward of not doing malacha on Erev Shabbos. Rava opposed the contradiction. Ksiv, in one place it says, in Chassidus it quotes this Gemara, Gadol Shmaim Chasdecha, that your kindness is until the heavens. Ksiv, and it also says, Gadol Mial Shmaim Chasdecha, that your kindness is above the heavens. It's until the heavens are above the heavens. HaKetzad, Kam Ba'isen Lishma, Kam Ba'isen Shlei Lishma. It depends. We're saying this in reference to the people that are not doing malach on Erev Shabbos because they never do work. So it's not lishma, but they're nevertheless not doing work. So now we're saying they get a reward, but the reward of the lishma ones is greater. Could Rav Yehuda, Rav Yehuda Marav, like Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, the famous Gemara. Lailam yasikadam b'ter mitzvahs. Person should always toil in Torah mitzvahs, even though it's for the wrong intention. Because from the wrong intention will come to the proper intention. So this says that inside that intention is the proper intention as well. Taisus has a question here. That 1 second, we have a Gemara Brachas that says someone that studies Torah for the wrong reason, it's better if he wasn't created. And here we're saying that, oh no, he's going to come to the right intention. It says there's different types of Shlei Lishma. Over there, it was to make yourself proud or to fight someone else. You wanted to prove someone else wrong for bad reasons. Or maybe he's learning and he doesn't want to keep what he's learning. Okay. Okay. In the introduction to the Iglei Tal, tries to work out the machlekes Reb Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda about the davar she'eino miskaven on Shabbos, if that's associated with doing mitzvahs shalei lishma. In other words, over there's a shalei lishma. You're doing a malacha, but you didn't intend for that malacha. And over here, you're doing a mitzvah, but you didn't intend for the mitzvah. It associates the shitas. Okay. Taner Rabbanon. Started in a brayso, mitzapel l'schar ishtei v'reichayim. If someone is waiting, hoping for his wife's income, or income that comes from a meal, you don't get blessing from that. What's the schar ishtei? What's the income from his wife? That's maskulta. So what's the pshat maskulta? Rashi says she takes a scale and she goes and she weighs things for people in the marketplace. This is a very embarrassing business. She goes around, she has to do all of this menial, very small income just to go and to weigh things while people are buying. Taisa says that it's spinning cloth, spinning thread. Now, Rabbeinu Hananel says that the problem is that when she's spinning the thread, her arms are shown. It shows her upper arms. I guess they spin it like this. And, so you don't get a reward from that. And the Gemara says that's understood. What is Rechaya? Rechaya is the mill. That's renting out the usage of a mill. It's a lot of work. I guess you have to work it, and you get paid. But it's a big job, and there's not a lot of payment for that. Aval avda umazavna, but if she works and she sells, ishtabuche mishtabach bakra, that's something special. The Torah praises her. The ksiv sadenasisa vatimkar seyaneshes chaya. She makes a belt and she sells it. So she sells products. So that's something else. Tanarabanan was taught in the Brisa, Mistaker bekanim ubekankanim. Someone that makes a business from kanim reeds that are used for fences. So they get a big pile of them. Or kankanim are jugs. There's no blessing from that. My time, what's the reason? Kiva the nafesh is chaya, because there's a huge volume. So it looks like, oh wow, this is a huge pile of things. So shalta beyena, there's an ayin hara on that. They're sold for very cheap, but it looks like a lot. So there's an ayin hara. Tanar Rabbanan, starting in the Brisa, Tagri Simta Magada Medaka. Merchants that sit in the marketplace, or people that raise small animals. The problem with small animals, they go and they eat in other people's properties, and everyone makes a big tumult about it. People that cut down fruit trees, and even if it's permissible, that's what the Mefarshim say. And people that whenever there's anything divided, they always want to take the best portion. So they don't get the blessing. My timer, the Tobeinchi, because everyone is astonished by their actions. So what are we talking about over here? People that sit in the marketplace. People are astonished by them. I don't know. It's because of the ayin hara. That's everyone sees them. It's too much exposure. And Megada Bey Medaka, those people that with the small animals, everyone sees the little animals going around, everyone's upset about it. And cutting down the trees also, everyone is surprised. And when you make a division, everyone is upset. You always take the biggest portion. Tanar Rabbanan, Dalid Prutis, Simen Bracha. There's 4 Prutis that there's no blessing from. Schar Kaisvin, the reward of writers, probably Seifrim. Miturgamanim, the reward of people that translate the Torah on Shabbos, when after the way it was done years ago, and probably still today, in maybe the Taimanim still do this. They read a pasuk, and then there's someone there that announces the Targum, the translation. Schar Yisaimim, the payment for people that take care of the orphans, and people that make business from faraway countries. So they don't see Siman Bracha, these 4 people. We get it when it comes to the Miturgaman. He's translating the Mishum de Mechzik Shabbos. It looks like he only works on Shabbos. So you pay him just for Shabbos. There's no blessing from that. Mayis Yisaimim Nami. Excuse me, there's a problem with Yisaimim. You do business with their money. The problem is you take part of the profit. The problem is that Yisaimim can't be Michael. So normally when there's some sort of business, there's always something that you say, well, do you mind if this and that? You have to be Michael. The Yisaimim can't be Michael. So there's an inherent issue with managing a fund of Yisaimim.
Didn't we just learn the opposite in the Rambam about scar of the apitrophis for Yisomim?
What did it say?
It was in connection with the payment, what certain contributions were used for.
Uh-huh.
And I thought one of them was the payment for the apitrophis, if Yisomim.
Yeah. So that makes sense. The problem is that if they're managing a fund where they have to move money and or buy and sell and whatever they have to do, so there could be things that really the Yisaimim have to be Michael on. They have to say, okay, that's okay.
Right.
And
Yisaimim
are allowed b'nei mechila.
But they are paid from public funds, aren't they?
Oh, I hear what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. If it's from public funds, then that would be if that's everything, then fine. But it could be that there's other things that they have to do that would be.
You're referring if they take a cut of the action.
Right. Over here, Rashi says, Lamach Tzchar. This instance is where they're getting part of the profit. Yeah. So what's the last one? There's two left. Money that they earn from faraway countries, overseas. When you have to send your merchandise on a boat, so then it's a miracle that it gets there. Not every day is there a miracle. So it's not saying that when you earn, there's no blessing from that, but it means is that you have to rely on miracles every day. And Chaim, that's the slogan. It's all miracles. But I guess it's schusim. I guess that's what it means. What's the problem with Seifrim? What does it mean there's no bracha from that? I'm Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Shua ben Levi taught, they fasted 24 fasts that the writers of Tefillin and Mezuzah, Svarim, Tefillin and Mezuzah, they shouldn't get wealthy. They get wealthy, they're going to stop writing. And then people won't have enough. They say they wrote one Sefer Torah and now they're good for the rest of their life. So there'll be a shortage of books. So they had that. We'll see that it's not 100%, but Taner Rabbanan was taught. Case we saw until the mezuzah hein v'tagrem v'chalais k'melach s'ermayim. Asuyim meichrit chelas in reisim bracha loylam. All of these people, the writers of the Svarim, Tefillin, and Mezuzahs, them, the merchants, means their agents that sell for them, and the agents' agents. So, and anyone that's involved in the work of heaven, which includes people that sell tchelas, so they don't see any blessing. Yeah, that's the condition. If they do it lishma means that to make sure that people they provide for people the religious articles. So then they get a blessing. Okay, Bnei Baishan Noglea be'ozlan mitzur l'tzayden b'mali Shabbat. The people of Baishan, what's that Zion? I don't know where that goes to. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, their custom was that they didn't go from Sur, which is Tyre, to Tzidon on Erev Shabbos. Also, Benayu Kamid Rabbi Yechanan. Their children, that was their custom. The children came to Rabbi Yechanan. Amru Lai, they said to him, Avasin Efshalahu, Anan Lai Efshalan. Our parents were rich. They didn't have to work on Fridays. They didn't go. It must have been a small boat ride, because a big boat ride you're not allowed to take within 3 days of Shabbos. So it must have been like to cross the channel or something. So, but we're not wealthy and we need the income. So are we allowed to do it? Amar Lahu, Rabbi Yechanan says to them, your parents, your fathers already accepted it. Listen, my son, to the rebuke of your father, and don't forsake the teachings of your mother. The teachings of your mother refers to customs, and that's already the custom. So you're not allowed to do it. They didn't do it because they were strict, right? On Erev Shabbos, not to do work. The people of Chuzai, they were strict. They would take challah from rice or millet. We don't know what ruz is. Iris. So, Rabbi Yosef. They came in front of Rabbi Yosef. Amar lahu, he said to them, Nechli zar ba'payu. You can feed it to a zar in front of them. So, in other words, make it clear that this is not the halacha. Isfei Abaya has a question. Abaya is a student of Rabbi Yosef, so he asks Rabbi Yosef the question. There's a problem. The problem is if people think something is prohibited, and you go ahead and you show them that it's permissible, then they say, well, I see that people don't, they're not strict about halacha. They thought it was prohibited. And then they think that everything else is permissible. They say, oh, it becomes, once you're lenient with that, then they think that you're allowed to violate halacha. They thought it was prohibited, right? Yeah. So if they think that rice requires challah, then you feed it to a zar, to a non-kayan. They think that, oh, if you don't have to keep this one, you don't have to keep other halachas. So he's asking Rabbi Yosef, how could you allow that? Amar Loi, Rabbi Yosef says to Abaya, Lav Mietmer Alam Rav Chizda B'Kutai. Rav Chizda says that's talking about in front of Kutim. In front of Kutim, you weren't supposed to do, because Kutim, they didn't know the halacha so well. And if you would show them that you could be lenient in one area, then they would drop everything. And they would say, oh yeah, you can be lenient in other things. So that was Rabbi Yosef's answer to Abaya. I don't know, Abaya or the Gemara responds, Kutai my time misham demischi milsa. But what's the reason why this applies to Kutim, Samaritans? Because they're going to get used to being lenient. They're also going to see that you could be lenient, and they're going to take it further than they're supposed to. Elam Ravashi says, Chazina, let's see. If most of their food is rice, if that's what they live off, then don't feed it to a zar, because it could be that they wanted them to remember the concept of challah. And if they only have rice, they'll never know that there's a concept of challah. So they imposed on them to take challah from rice. That way they'll remember it when there's grain. Maybe they'll forget the concept of challah. But if most of their food is really grain, then it's not a problem. Then you should feed it to a zar. It's more than not a problem. It's a problem if you don't, because it's possible that someone could separate rice dough and attempt to exempt his grain dough, his wheat dough, with something that was totally exempt anyway. But the rice wasn't exempt. It doesn't work. So because of that problem, you say no. You have to teach them that it's not the way to do it. Okay, Gufa. We learned that if people think everything is prohibited, then don't show them that it's not. Don't show them that don't make it permissible. Let them continue thinking that it's prohibited. Otherwise, if you tell them that it's permissible, they may think that everything is permissible. Rav Chizda b'Kutai yaskina. Rav Chizda said that it was dealing with kutim, v'kuli al malai, and it doesn't apply to everyone. So it's only kutim. But Tanya was taught in a brayso, reichsin shnei achim kechad, vein reichsim shnei achim b'kvul. Two brothers are allowed to bathe together, but two brothers in kvul are not allowed to. Omaisa b'Yehuda v'Hillel banav shel Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel is the son of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and he has two sons. One, his name is Yehuda, who's known as Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya, to distinguish him from Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Another one was Hillel, who's a grandson of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. These two brothers, they went to Kvul, and they took a bath together. Everyone in the whole country was laughing at them, was talking about it. We never saw anything this crazy. We never saw anything like this. So Hillel got up and he went to the outer part of the bathhouse. You want to tell them that it's permissible. We'll see soon what the issue is. You're allowed to wear wide shoes. These are like clogs probably, or some sort of shoes that they're Crocs. You're allowed to wear it on Shabbos. But in Biri, you're not allowed to. The problem is that they slip off. And the question is, are you gonna slip them off and carry them or something? These making trouble. They wear these type of wide shoes in Biri. Everyone starts laughing at them. We never saw anyone do this. They took them off and they gave it to the servants to wear. They didn't want to tell them that it's permissible. Ibn Naftali, what are you looking at? The charts? I can't hear. Yeah. Tell me again.
Oh, I was saying, I think the two sons of Rehuda Hanasi were Shimon and Gamliel.
Yeah.
And so if we're talking about Hillel, there's something else going on in this story.
No. This is the children of Gamliel. This is the grandchildren of Rabbi Hanasi. Hillel and Yehuda.
This is the Hillel who set up the calendar?
I think that was a little later.
A little later?
I think that was a little later. I think so.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not sure. This may be Hillel that set up the calendar. Yeah. Yeah, you may be right. Maybe
okay.
Right.
Okay. Yes, I was looking at the chart to see if my memory was wrong.
Yeah, but I know this is Rabbi Yehuda Nasiya. Okay. The next thing is V'yeshvin al safsali nachrim. You're allowed to sit on the benches of the non-Jews b'Shabbos. V'yeshvin al safsali nachrim b'Shabbos ba'aku. But you're not allowed to do this on Aku. Apparently, this is where they put their merchandise. This is where they sold their things. A Meister Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, or another version is Rabban Gamliel. Everyone was laughing at him. He sat down on this bench. We never saw this. Nishmat al Gabi Karka, he slipped off to sit on the floor. He didn't want to tell them that it's permissible. All of this was a question where we started. We said, in front of Kutim, you're not allowed to tell them that it's permissible. And we see, really? But we have all of these instances where they didn't tell them either that it was permissible. They just switched. They did it differently. So the Gemara says, if they don't live in the from area, they live in this out of the city area, Medina Sayyam, the faraway countries, because there's no teachers there, there's no rabbis, so they're like kutim, they don't know what the halacha is. Okay. The Gemara is going to explain what the issues were going on. We understand what was going on by the benches of the non-Jews. It looks like you're about to buy and sell. Yeah, this would be probably similar to sitting in the bus stop. You're allowed to sit in the bus stop on Shabbos. So just to take a rest, to get up before the bus comes. But is it appropriate? I don't know. What about the wide shoes? The same thing. We understand what the issue is. Maybe they'll slip off and you'll carry them. In my time, what's the problem with taking a bath with two brothers? Two brothers taking a bath. A person can bathe with anyone. But not with his father. That's probably respect. V'chamav, his father-in-law. Ubal imai, or his mother's husband. She probably remarried, I guess. Ubal achaisei, or his brother-in-law. Rabbi Yehuda mater. Rabbi Yehuda says it's permissible. Ba'aviv pnei kavod aviv. With his father, that's because of respect for his father. Huadin labalim, and the same as with the husband of his mother. However, there is a problem with balachese, and I think that has to do with, that has to do with homosexuality. They see each other naked, and that's not appropriate. his brother, two brothers was an extension of him with his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law was a problem, and two brothers was an extension of that. Yeah. I guess it depends on the custom. That's what we're saying here. It depends on the custom. Is that acceptable or not? Tana, taught in the Brisa, Talmud la yirchatzim rabbi. Student shouldn't bathe with his teacher. Vim rabbi tzarich lay mutter. But if the teacher needs his assistance, then that's okay. He also Rabbi Bar Bar Chana, when Rabbi Bar Bar Chana came from Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Bar Bar Chana was in Eretz Yisrael together with Rav and Rab Chia. Rab Chia's brother, his name was Chana, and their son was Rabba. His son was Rabba Bar Chana, and his grandson was Rabba Bar Bar Chana, and they were there together with Rav, I think. Rabba Bar Chana was there, and he comes back to Bavel. So Achal Daisra, he ate the fat that's on the top of the keva, which was the part of the stomach that's used to make cheese. And there was fat that goes over it. It looks like a bow. It's in the shape of a bow. So he ate that fat. Now in Eretz Yisrael, that was considered permissible, and in Bavel, that was considered prohibited. So Olagabe Rav Avira Saba, V'Rabba Breder Rav Huna, Rav Ada V'Rava Breder Rav Chanan is another Gerson. They came to visit him. Now, Kiva the Chazinu, when he sees them, Kasya Minayu, he covers the sandwich. He covers what he's eating. He doesn't want them to see. Asavar Malela Abaya. They came and they told either Abaya or La'avu or to their father. What he did. Amar Lahu Shavinchu Kikutai. He considers you kutim, that he doesn't want to show that it's permissible in front of you. You're going to think that everything is permissible. So he covered it over that you shouldn't learn that you may take it too far, that if this is permissible, other things are permissible. For Rabbi Bar Bar Chana, Leslie Hadatnan, but Rabbi Bar Bar Chana himself, doesn't he hold Hadatnan? You're supposed to take on the stringencies of the place that you go to, just like the place that you come from. And if in Bavel they're stricter, you shouldn't have been eating it. Amar Abaya, Hani Mili Mi Bavel a Bavel. Abaya says that's only from one area of Bavel to another area of Bavel. Mi Eretz Yisrael, one area of Eretz Yisrael to another area. Inami Mi Bavel Eretz Yisrael, or if you're going from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, you have to take on the stringencies of Eretz Yisrael. Abel Mi Eretz Yisrael le Bavel. But if you're from Eretz Yisrael and you come to Bavel, you don't have to take on the stringencies of Bavel. Since we are dependent on Eretz Yisrael because they were the ones that had smicha, so therefore they can do the way they do in Eretz Yisrael. They don't have to take on the stringencies. Ravashi has another teretz. Even if you say you came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, really you should take on the stringencies of Bavel. But that's if you're going to stay in Bavel. However, Rabbi Bar Bar Chana died to Lachzer. However, Rabbi Bar Bar Chana's intention was to go back to Eretz Yisrael. So that changes a lot of what's going on here. That changes the whole story. So if you go to a place, then it's clear. If you're going there to stay there, to live there, then clear you have to take on those customs. What about if you're going back, if you're just visiting? So I don't know if it's more than from Eretz Yisrael. There's a leniency that we're seeing if you're just visiting. But that leniency may be from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. Maybe you don't have that leniency in other. Rabbi Baruch Hana had two explanations. Right? Okay. Amalei Rabbi Bar Bar Chana lebnei. Rabbi Bar Bar Chana says to his sons, B'ni, shouldn't eat this in front of me or not in front of me. I saw Rabbi Yochanan eating it, So kedai Rabbi Yochanan lismach la b'fanav shlei b'fanav. You can rely on him. B'fanav or shlei b'fanav, whether in front of Rabbi Yochanan or not in front of Rabbi Yochanan, which probably means that he's alive or not alive. I saw Rabbi Yochanan doing this. I can do this. Ata loyra isay. So you didn't see him doing this. So loy teichal bein b'fanai bein shlei b'fanai. You can't eat it at all. You didn't see Rabbi Yochanan, so you don't have that leniency. Upliga didei adidei. However, Rabbi Bar Bar Chana is arguing on something that he himself said. Damar Rabbi Bar Bar Chana said, Sachli Rabbi Yochanan ben Elazar, or Rabbi Yonasan ben Elazar, Pamachas nichnasti acher Reb Shimon ben Reb Yosi ben Lakunya Lagina. One time I went after Reb Shimon, the son of Reb Yosi ben Lakunya, to his garden, V'natal Svichi Kruv. This was in the Shemitah year after everything was removed from the house because, they had to eat whatever is. They weren't allowed to store it anymore because there was nothing left in the field, and this was after growths of cabbages. He took these growths and he ate them. And he gave it to me to eat. Why weren't they allowed to eat it if it wasn't stored in the house? I'm not sure. There was a leniency here. He said in front of me, but he says in front of me you can eat, but not in front of me don't eat. I saw Reb Shimon ben Yochai eating this. So Kedaihu Reb Shimon ben Yochai lismach alav b'fanav v'shlei b'fanav. You can rely on him, whether he's here or whether he's not here. But that's only me that I saw him. This is Reb Shimon, the son of Reb Yossi ben Lakunya. But you, only in front of me you can eat, not in front of me. So it's different, because Rabbi Bar Bar Chana said that over, but Rabbi Bar Bar Chana himself tells his sons not to eat even in front of him. Okay, my Reb Shimon. What does it mean, Reb Shimon? What is Reb Shimon that said that it's permissible? The Tanya Reb Shimon Aimer Kol Asvichim Asurim Chutz Misvichi Kruv. There was a decree against eating things that took root, against things that grew on their own. That's what it is. Things that grew on their own in Shemitah. He said that all of these things are prohibited, except for Svichi Kruv, which grow a little, that grow differently. They don't grow like the other vegetables. Usually, other things grow because seeds have fallen. And when you're harvesting, the seeds fall, and you didn't actually plant it, but it just grows because the wind or whatever planted those seeds. But apparently Svichi Kruv is different. It grows from the roots or something, from the old stalk. It continues to grow. And so there was no decree on that. Chacham say everything is asur. Everything is following Rabbi Akiva. The Tanya was taught in the Braisa. This is talking about if a person will say on Shemitah, we didn't plow, we didn't plant, we didn't harvest. What are we going to live off? If you don't plant, so of course you don't gather. So what does it mean? We didn't plant, we didn't gather. And what is there to gather? It must mean that even things that grow without planting are also asur. What is the machlekes, the Chacham and Rabbi Akiva? Rabbanan Tzavi Gadrin Svichi Kruv Atishar Svichi Da'alma. The Rabbanan say that Svichi Kruv, the growths of cabbages are similar to everything else, which also has the Shemitah prohibition on it. Reb Shimon says, Legazrin Svichi Kruv Atishar Da'alma, that you don't compare, you don't make a gzeira, these similar to the other things, because these grow differently.